How's it going, everybody? KCG Trades here, and getting right into this week's video, I want to talk about the overall market. The past week we just had was very iffy and a lot of consolidation, and on Thursday especially we had a huge sell-off due to the fact that Biden's administration proposed a capital gains tax increase to the wealthy, and that really made stocks sell off. But the good news is on Friday we had a nice recovery, and it did show us that the market has underlying strength because it really shook off the bad news. We also saw a nice bid in growth names, and we had a few standout growth names that I will show you guys later on. But overall, it does look pretty good. The Nasdaq, the SPY do look ready for another leg up. So I am very excited for this upcoming week. And I do have 10 names on my weekly watch list as well. So let's go ahead and start off with the overall market charts, starting with the Nasdaq. All right, so starting off with the Nasdaq, the QQQ, if we take a look at the overall chart pattern, we do see a cup with handle on the daily charts forming. We do see some lower volume on the handle, and we also see some support at the 10 EMA. So it does look like it's ready to have a next leg up. We do have lots of earnings coming up this week with Tesla, Pinterest, Amazon, Apple, Shopify. A lot of big names are giving out the earnings this week, so that could really be the catapult for the market to have another leg up. So that's really what I'm watching for, and that's with the Nasdaq. And if we take a look at the S&P, the SPY, I did mention the past few weeks that we may be due for a pullback to continue these higher lows, and we did actually see that, but we just found support at the 10 EMA, showing that the market is very strong right now. It is consolidating near all-time highs. So like we said with the Nasdaq, earnings can really propel the overall market to continue higher, especially if we see a strong beat from like Amazon, Apple, Shopify, and the big names, for example. So that's really what I'm watching for. It's going to be a relatively quiet week to start off, but then when those big names really start to reveal their earnings, that's when we'll see a lot of the volatility, hopefully on the upside. So those are the two main indexes, and for growth names, we obviously want to look at, first of all, IWO. So it does look to be setting up for a breakout here. It did close above the 50-day moving average, which is good. Volume did show up. So this could be start of a new leg up for growth names. If we also take a look at the FFTY, the IBD 50, we broke out of this downtrend line here on very good volume, back above the 50-day moving average, and back above all the other short-term moving averages like the 10 and 21. So this does show that there is strength in growth names. So another leg up may be occurring as we speak, and especially with earnings coming around, like I've been mentioning, this could really propel the overall market. And if we also take a look at other indexes, if we take a look at IWM, which is the Russell 2000, we see here it is also setting up for a possible breakout. It closed near the high of day on Friday, and volume is getting better. So we'll just see if it could break out above this 226 for another leg up. And if we also take a look at some other sectors that are showing strength, if we take a look at the semiconductors, I did mention we have this cup and handle going on. It did kind of pull back more than expected, but it did find support at the 50-day moving average. And now it's looking to climb higher. So we do have some names, some semiconductor names that we're watching for this week. But overall, everything does seem to be setting up and aligning perfectly for another leg up. Now it's really all about earnings and how the market really reacts to these earnings. Most of the time, it's not really about the actual earnings report. It's more about how the market reacts. So if we could get some good reactions to these earnings, I really think this week can be really good, and the next week's moving forward. So with that being said, let's get right into my weekly watch list, starting with my first name, ALGN Align Technology. So ALGN has very strong fundamentals, and we have a nice cut base here without a handle, so we're looking to break out above the 634.46 level. So the buy point would be 10 cents above it, 634.56. As you see, I do have my alert here ready to go. Like I said, it has strong fundamentals, and the base is really nice. Volume patterns have been very good, so if we could have a breakout above that 634.56 level with strong volume, I'll be getting in. Very simple play I'll be looking at, and we'll see if it could follow through this coming week. So the next stock I'm watching is AMAT Applied Materials. So AMAT has been on my watch list for quite some time. I did own a position, but I sold it off last week as it fell under the 21 EMA and couldn't close above it. But it looks like I sold too early, as the next day it recovered nicely. And on Friday, we actually had a nice inside day. If you take a look at the overall pattern, it had a nice little bull flag here, and it actually broke out of it. Friday, like I said, we had an inside day on lower volume. So essentially what I'm looking for is a break above the inside day, which is 10 cents above it. The high was 135.17, so I'm looking for 135.27. Hopefully we can get some volume and then get another leg up to retest those highs. So that's really what I'm watching for AMAT. Hopefully we could get it, and my stop loss would be under the inside day around 132.74. So my stop loss would be around the 132.50 area. I don't want to risk a lot because if we do get any downside movement, I want to get out as quick as possible. But if we do get some upside momentum, I want to be in it as well. So that's really what I'm watching for AMAT. And the next stock I'm watching is ATKR. Now, ATKR doesn't have the strongest of volume and liquidity, but it is average around 500 to 600,000. So it's not terrible, but it's not the best. But this flat base is looking really good. It also has really strong fundamentals. So it is looking to break out of this flat base. It did actually get above it on Friday, but the volume wasn't as high as we wanted to be. It also didn't move that much. So essentially the breakout zone was around the 75.89, so it is still around the breakout zone, closing at 76.23. I want to see if we can get like a red to green move on Monday, and then see if we could get an explosive move on Monday with strong volume to confirm this breakout. Basically retesting the 77 level really quick in the morning and then just exploding up to see if we could get some buyers in. If the volume isn't significant, I'm not really going to touch this because there are more stocks with more volume and liquidity, but this is setting up for a nice breakout. So we'll see how it goes, see if we can follow through on Monday. So the next stock I'm watching is Cloudflare, NET. So as mentioned at the beginning of the video, on Friday we did have a lot of standout names, and Cloudflare was definitely one of them. If we take a look, it did break out of this early cheat pivot here with strong volume way above average and closed near the high of day. Now we're basically looking to retest highs. Essentially this is on my watch list because it's not really a setup, but the fact it broke out on strong volume does show me that there is strength here, there are buyers here, and this could be setting up for a new leg up. So essentially when we could get a buy point, I don't know if we get some inside days or maybe a quick retest, or maybe a red to green move. That's what I'll be looking for because of the strong interest as well as the relative strength that this stock is showing. I really want to be able to get into this when the opportunity comes. We don't want to chase, as I always mention. You don't want to chase just because the stock is going up. You want to wait for a proper entry point. So I'll be watching Cloudflare very heavily to see if we could get a good entry point and then eventually retest these highs. So that's what I'm watching for Cloudflare. And the next stock I'm watching is NUE, Nucor Corp. All right, so NUE is setting up for another leg up here. We had a nice prior uptrend and we actually had a gap up on March 26th. And since then we've been consolidating and creating this little bull flag. We actually did create a holy grail setup as we undercutted the 21 EMA and then we rallied above on Friday, creating a hammer candle. So essentially what I'm looking for is 10 cents above the hammer candle, which will be at the 78 exact level. So we're looking for a move there with a stop loss right below the low of the day, which would be around the 75 level. Very tight risk. And yeah, we're looking for a break above this bull flag as well after we get a move above the $80 level. See if we could retest these highs. This stock has been showing tremendous relative strength and volume has been pouring in. So let's see if it could continue its move and make new highs. So that's really what I'm watching for. And the next stock I'm watching is SEC Limited. So C Limited was a strong winner in 2020 with a huge uptrend, and now it looks to be setting up for another leg up. This is a three-headed monster that many say, and we're basically looking for a break above this 260 level. Has been going sideways since then. On Tuesday we had a huge sell-off, but Wednesday, Thursday, Friday we did recover nicely, so it does show that this stock has some strength with it. So like we said, essentially looking for a break above this 260 level. The exact levels would be 261.55, so 10 cents above it, 261.65. It did go straight up from the bottom of this base, so I actually wouldn't be surprised if we get a little small pullback or maybe some sideways action before we break out above it, but that is essentially what I'm watching for. The stock doesn't actually make money as of yet, but the sales are continuously growing and they do expect to be profitable in the near future. So this is really one to watch as it is becoming a strong leader in South Asia. So with that being said, the next stock I'm watching is Snapchat. So Snapchat, if you guys have been keeping up with my videos, I was looking for a double bottom breakout, but we actually failed at the top level. Now it's kind of essentially creating this cup with handle look here, and we actually did have earnings for this stock last week on Friday. It did gap up as it did announce good earnings. If we take a look how it acted in intraday, had a nice gap up but sold off to begin the day. It actually filled its gap perfectly and then continued higher, closing near the highs of the day, which is actually amazing to see. So there was strength in this. It filled the gap, so we don't have to worry about that moving forward. So essentially we're just looking for a break above the handle now, which is around the 65.94 level. I would still look for a break above the 64.82 level, but the official breakout point would be the 65.94 level. So that's really what I'm watching for in the next coming days, to see if we could move inch up higher and then break out above it with good volume as well. If we do so, we could 100% retest these highs and possibly move into all-time highs. I do currently still hold a position, as I did buy near these lows with the shakeout +3. Have been holding since, and like I said, the past couple of weeks, once we get an official breakout point above the handle, I'll be looking to add to my position. And the next stock I'm watching is SQ Square. So SQ is actually showing a cup with handle pattern right now. And essentially the official buy point for the cup and handle would be the 278.55 level, but I do see some strong support around the 50-day and 21 moving averages. So I actually do want to see if we could get in early, so we don't have to risk a high drawdown just in case we do get a pullback. I do like buying at support levels, especially in this type of environment, because like we had mentioned, breakouts haven't been working the best. So it is better to buy at the pullback levels, so you could have lesser risk. So essentially what I'm looking for is just a pocket pivot move. I want to see a strong thrust above the 21 and 10 EMA. It is currently above the 21 EMA, but not yet above the 10 EMA. For the past 5 sessions, it has acted as resistance levels. So I want to see it get through it on strong volume, and that's where I would be essentially looking to initiate a position, and then obviously get above that breakout level above the 278.32, and then see how high we could go from there. So that's really what I'm looking for. And the next stock I'm watching is TIGR, TIGR. So TIGR is a name that had a strong run up and a strong rundown as well. So this was very hard to hold, but it does seem to be getting ready for another leg up here. This stock is probably the least on my focus list, probably the least I'm interested in, but it is setting up quite nicely here. The reason I am not as interested as other stocks is because there is so much overhead resistance that we have to go through. If we get above these levels, we might have some resistance to the 24 level, then 27, and maybe 29, and then obviously all-time highs as well. So it will be a bumpy ride, but it is setting up, so it is something I am definitely watching just to see how it reacts, as well as how the volume comes in. Essentially what I'm looking for is a break above this 21.25 level, 10 cents above it, around the 21.35 level, and if we could also get above the 50-day moving average on volume, this could get interesting. It is a quick mover. It is a fintech name, like we said. There's a lot of hype around fintech right now, so if we could get a lot of volume in, I wouldn't be surprised if we get a huge move this coming week. But like I said, this isn't one of my high priorities, but it is definitely one to watch. And the very last stock on my list is Tesla. So Tesla actually does have earnings on Monday after market close. So we definitely want to wait until the earnings report is announced, and we want to see how the stock reacts to the earnings before we make any decisions. But setting up, it is setting up quite nicely here as we broke out of this VCP action here and have been flagging ever since. It essentially just looks like this stock is waiting for its earnings release. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Monday be a very low range day, low volatility and low volume as well. And then once the earnings release, we're going to see a big move. Essentially what I'm looking for is a gap up above this 781 level. That would be the most ideal action for me. And then see if we could have some sort of gap and go, a breakaway gap type action to potentially start a new leg up. That would be the most ideal. Obviously, we don't know what's going to happen, but that is really what I'm looking for with Tesla. So that pretty much sums up my weekly watch list and my stock market outlook. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys liked it, please hit that like button. If you are watching and you are not subscribed, please subscribe. It would really help me out. And hope you guys have a wonderful week and good luck in the markets. Take care.